A disabled girl confined in a fortress fights monsters to free humanity, only to find a sinister truth. The last of humanity fights monsters called Gandolls, confined inside the walls of a mobile fortress, Deca-Dence. Natsume, a girl with a mechanical arm, pledges to fight the Gandolls, along with Kaburagi, but soon a sinister plot is revealed that turns the story upside down. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be recapping a sci-fi action called Deca-Dence, an original series released in 2020. The story mixes steampunk and cyberpunk settings to create a beautiful world and with it, great character dynamics. So without further ado, let's begin. The show starts as a young Natsume sneaks into her father's team that's investigating artifacts, but they get attacked by Gandolls, and this results in Natsume losing her father and an arm. In the present, Natsume, living in a mobile fortress, Deca-Dence, where the last of humanity holds out. There she is graduating from her orphanage and aims to become a tanker who supports Gears, a fighter race who protects humans from Gandolls. But Natsume doesn't get assigned as a tanker by the power. Instead, she is given an armor repair job under a stoic man, Kaburagi. Later, Natsume discovers that he's a kind persona, and he has a Gandoll pet, Pip. At night, Kaburagi suspiciously collects chips from a comatose person under orders. One day, as Natsume and Kaburagi are cleaning Deca-Dence, the fortress is attacked by a horde of Gandolls, including one as big as Deca-Dence. The Gears are dispatched, and they fight the monsters in zero gravity. Kaburagi and Natsume, due to an accident, fall into one of the zero-gravity zones, but Kaburagi saves Natsume and slays several beasts. With only the gigantic Gandoll remaining, Deca-Dence transforms into a fist under the directions of General MINATO and knocks the beast out. An announcement of victory is made in a cryptic city with cyborgs, Solid Quake. And Kaburagi is from Solid Quake, while Deca-Dence is a simulation with the last humans living in the fortress and cyborgs managing the simulations. Kaburagi, in his cyborg body, reminisces about the time he was logged into Deca-Dence as a gear along with his squad. Kaburagi is one of the top rankers, but a member of the squad, Mickey, who is eager to know about the forbidden limit releasing, is quickly catching on. And Mickey's eagerness leads him to use limit releasing, which gets him caught as a cheater and scrapped by Hyugi. Kaburagi is punished to be a recovery agent for being an accomplice. One night, he's caught collecting chips by Natsume, but her innocence and resilience makes Kaburagi laugh. Later, Kaburagi searches up Natsume, only to find out that she's listed dead, and she is not recognized by the system. Kaburagi admits that the girl saved him. He recognizes Natsume, the bug, and later takes her to the Gears level. Kaburagi deduces that Natsume's chip must be malfunctioned when she was revived in her childhood. Kaburagi takes Natsume to train outside the Deca-Dence. Kaburagi demonstrates how to create the zero-gravity zones and stab the Gandolls and collecting their oxygen. Natsume trains like hell for several days despite failing and suffering. One day, Kaburagi, after listening to Natsume's concerns about her unfit mechanical arm, builds her a new arm. As they are leaving to test the arm, Deca-Dence suddenly starts sinking into the ground. Pip falls through the crack in the ground. Natsume goes after it, only to discover that the Gandolls are attacking from an underground cavern. Natsume, who has joined the battle, panics after seeing dead bodies. She remembers Kaburagi's training, regains her composure, and rejoins the battle. She skillfully slays the Gandolls with her new arm. One of the Gandolls breaks through the tanker's defense, but the strongest tanker, KURENAI, stops with ease. Later, KURENAI commends Natsume and officially lets her join the Power. Meanwhile, a new Deca-Dence event to attack the Gandoll nest is revealed by Solid Quake. Later, MINATO tells Kaburagi to lay low and that this event is just a setup, as most of the tankers will die. Upon hearing this, Kaburagi orders Natsume to stay home and even damages her gear. Natsume, broken-hearted, tells KURENAI about her withdrawal. But KURENAI's support and the memory of her father's spirit to explore reminds Natsume about what she always wanted to do: change herself. On the day of the mission, Natsume and the tankers attack the Gandoll, causing the miss, but they are utterly devastated. Natsume, enraged, charges at the beast, only to be saved by her squad member, Mindy. Kaburagi, who was worried about Natsume, rushes to save her despite Minato stopping him. Kaburagi takes on the beast as Natsume saves the remaining tankers. Unable to damage the beast, Kaburagi risks his life for Natsume and releases his limit, while aware of the fact that his actions would change the storyline of the event. He defeats the beast, and as the fall clears up, an unexpected humongous Gandoll appears. Panicking, Minato engages the beast with Deca-Dence, but Thanks to Kaburangi's assist, Deca-Dence's punch is able to take down the beast. As the tankers are celebrating, Gandolls reappear. Kaburangi walks to a cliff to see Hyugi waiting, and he deactivates Kaburangi's body after he says the world needs bugs. Kaburagi is sent to the bug correctional facility, where the bugs scrap off Gandoll feces, which are used to generate energy. A bug, Sarkozy, introduces Kaburangi to gang leader Donatello, Kaburangi's old squad member who's able to illegally log into Deca-Dence. Donatello, who hates Kaburangi for obeying the system, challenges Kaburangi to a death dive. Kaburangi, in order to contact with Natsume, defeats Donatello in a duel, even saving him. Seeing Kaburangi's resolve, Donatello orders another bug, Jill, to let Kaburangi link, but Jill warns him that he'll have to use a new avatar. Kaburangi, in his new avatar, sees that the Gandoll have infiltrated the Deca-Dence, as Natsume and the tankers keep them at bay, but the casualties are high. After the beast is subdued, Kaburangi goes to see MINATO, who explains to him that this is for the sake of culling down the number of humans. Meanwhile, Natsume and the tanker are somehow able to get help from the town to start repairing the hole in the Deca-Dence. Later, Kaburangi goes to meet Natsume, but she doesn't recognize him. Kaburangi is, once again, bewildered after seeing Natsume's determination, and he decides to end the cycle. He goes back to the correctional facility and convinces Donatello to help him destroy the Gandoll factory. Jill tells everyone that whoever tries to enter the factory with a chip will be deactivated, upon hearing that Kaburangi suggests retrieving his old body, which MINATO has kept hidden, because it doesn't have a chip. Jill manages to get the body's location. Meanwhile, Hyugen investigates MINATO because of a tip. Kaburangi and the rest manage to retrieve Kaburangi's old body from just under Hyugen's nose. Kaburangi, in his old body, goes to meet Natsume and KURENAI. He asks Natsume to help him destroy the Gandoll factory. Meanwhile, back at the prison, Jill manages to convince the prisoners to join Donatello and destroy the factory. MINATO arrives at the correction factory to meet Kaburangi and asks him to reconsider his plans. In the meantime, Turkey, Donatello's henchman, convinces Sarkozy to betray the rest of the bugs. Natsume and Kaburangi reach the Gandoll factory and start heading towards GGS, Gandoll Genocide System. Meanwhile, the rest of the prisoners manage to pollute the Gandoll lake, causing the Gandolls to release their zone. While the factory is in dismay, Natsume and Kaburangi sneak in, but to their surprise, they encounter Hyugen. Kaburangi suffers some fatal blows, but Jill hacks into the system and manages to help him. At the prison, Sark is betrayed by Turkey, and while trying to defy the guards, Sark is injured. Sark, remembering Kaburangi, decides to sacrifice himself and jumps into the feces pit, causing an enormous explosion. The explosion damages the factory, and the flooding water takes out Hyugen. Kaburangi and Natsume finally manage to reach the GGS and pull the lever. As the Gandolls start disappearing, Kaburangi finally reveals to Natsume how everything she knew has been manufactured. Natsume falls unconscious after learning the truth. As the staff is evacuating the factory, a pet Gandoll stabs a member of the staff in the abdomen. Natsume wakes up in Kaburangi's car and he lets her know that her father, deemed a bug, was taken out by the system because he was close to discovering the truth. Natsume, angry with Kaburangi, expresses that it would have been better if she had stayed ignorant. Upon reaching Deca-Dence, Kaburangi receives Jill's message to return. Meanwhile, a Gandoll emerges from the abdomen of the staff member that was stabbed. Back in his cyborg body, Kaburangi helps the bugs escape the prison. But after learning that Natsume has been designed as a bug, Kaburangi, in his old avatar, rushes to Natsume, who has forgiven Kaburangi, but suddenly, Kaburangi is stabbed by Hyugen. Elsewhere, the bugs see a ginormous Gandoll approaching Deca-Dence. As Hyugen is about to choke Natsume, Kaburangi, in his second avatar, appears and stabs Hyugen, surprising Natsume. MINATO orders Deca-Dence to attack the Gandoll Omega, and they ignite the punch cannon, but the Gandoll stops the fist and rips it apart. Unable to subdue Omega, the system, Munin, decides to shut the dome and erase Deca-Dence. Jill calls the flabbergasted MINATO and suggests that someone can log in with Deca-Dence as their avatar. The tankers in gear counter the small Gandolls that emerge from Omega's body, while Kaburagi heads to Deca-Dence in his cyborg body to attach to its core, but he encounters MINATO. Kaburagi, after convincing MINATO to help him, attaches to the core as MINATO activates Deca-Dence. Kaburagi faces interference from the system. Meanwhile, Jill, on Natsume's suggestion, decides on collecting the old scattered parts of Deca-Dence to make a new weapon, and they assign the mission to the Gears. Everyone logs in to join the mission, and all parts are swiftly linked to Deca-Dence. Meanwhile, Munin tries to convince Kaburagi to give up, but Kaburagi uses Natsume's words and finally gains control over Deca-Dence. He quickly starts collecting the parts, though the monster's about to attack, but Donatello manages to divert the attack. Kaburagi ignites the new Deca-Dence cannon and fires it at Omega. Omega manages to stop it. Kaburagi, while thinking about Natsume, releases his limit and tears Omega apart as Deca-Dence crumbles. Later, Natsume finds Kaburagi's dead cyborg body and thanks him. 3 years later, humans and cyborg live together in the Deca-Dence city, and Jill, upon receiving her lost gadget, realizes that she has a backup of Kaburagi. Finally, a grown-up Natsume is reunited with Kaburagi, and the perfect ending. A girl determined to change the world without realizing that she is in a simulation, but she influences a cyborg and decides to tear the simulation apart for her, while betting even his life on the line. The duo overcomes obstacle after obstacle, shooting past their limits as they finally manage to change their world.